Been thinking about how to approach the channel. I'm thinking maybe a little bit of Mr. Rogers, you know? Like, hey there, neighbor. How you doing? Working on your F100? I don't think we'll do that. So quickly, you see that we have some suspension components on. We've got our coilovers all the way around from F100 Performance. Nice Viking setup. Everything's adjustable. FYI, Viking swapped to black springs from their typical silver/chrome, just a heads up. But exhaust is built. These flex tubes are awesome. Stainless expands and shrinks as it gets hot and cools off. I get those from Total Flow. It's a website. You can get many different sizes, many different lengths. Very affordable. 304 stainless. There is your Easter egg, I guess, for this video. Exhaust is built, and the plan here is once we measure for wheels and get wheels on it, is we'll run the exhaust and dump it like kind of angled down in front of the rear tire. I know this guy is going to want to do burnouts. When he's doing burnouts, that exhaust will push the smoke back, make for really awesome burnouts. Got the front runner kit on from Powered by the Hour that I talked about in the last video. We got the pulleys added that we needed. Belts are on. Haven't finished this because we need to make sure that the orientation for the power steering pump to the reservoir and all that is going to work out. So, good progress on the frame. The only thing left to run is fuel line, and then get the fuel tank set in, and we'll strip the frame and paint it. So that's a lot of the progress there. Now, there are a lot of companies restamping and putting out reproduction parts. You know, beds or last couple years, we've kind of seen that happen. This particular example came from LMC, and it comes in 4 pieces. You have the header, both bed sides. The bed sides are the outer skin. And actually, the bed side came with this inner structure brace already welded in, and it's got coating on it. Which is interesting because they sent them to us flat in the box. Flat. They sent them to us loose in the box. So, not sure what happened there, but basically the whole bedside is an assembly. Then you have the floor and the tailgate. So tailgate's separate, but you have 4 pieces. And I gotta say, it came together really well. There are a few things, you know, like the roll on the bed rail here needs to come down some. So we're really close. We'll epoxy the corners, but we will massage the tops of these. You can kind of see what I'm talking about here. It's more evident here. This is going to have to be reworked. We've already done a little bit of reworking, but we've got good gaps, you know, so it's really just working how all this came together in the corner. Another thing that stood out to me was, you know, the ribs in the bed here don't line up. There's no way to get this closer. And then when you look at, you know, how this is supposed to line up, we're obviously going to go in with some sealer, some epoxy through all that before we do any painting or coating. But yeah, I mean, if you're a perfectionist and you want to massage all that, you could. If you are just putting a bed together, because it's hard to find a good solid bed in Alabama, this works. So no major complaints. Went together really well. The parts are quite thicker than I expected them to be for repops. We've all had repop experiences, but yeah, I think a couple guys get about 6 hours into this. Keeping in mind you have to drill everywhere you need to weld. You have to drill it out or punch it out. Not a big deal, but you need to do all that for every connection, really. There's a few that end up being pre-punched, but they're few, very few. So now we have a solid start with the bed here. And one of the things I like about this Comet chassis is that it's built for us to have some adjustment. So there will be some shimming because we definitely want, which, you know, on old trucks, you see these body lines, and a lot of times the bed and the cab not always syncing up. So really pleased with the way this came together. Like I said, a couple of guys, just so you can kind of manipulate and get somebody to hold and clamp all the other tacks. 5 or 6 hours, not a tremendous task at all. So would do this again. First time I've done one of these. It's a dent side. if I get the opportunity or am in a position where I need to do a bump side, I'll do that one and do a review on it as well. So we've covered updates on the chassis on the truck, covered the bed. Let's talk about this cab. So let's quickly talk F600 cabs. The sheet metal, the size, the dimensions of the cab are the same. The way the cab bolts to the frame is very different. I'll start from the back. This is actually a section of the cross member that was in the donor truck frame. You can see that the mounts are much closer. I think we have a 24-inch spacing. Yeah, this is the, right here, is the normal cab mount on an F100 frame. So we've got to make some changes there. The hole's actually already there. We'll just brace it up and put a hole through the floor of the cab to catch that. But this is also about 3.5 inches, maybe 4 inches. I've got to remeasure too tall. So we'll have to take this up in order for that to sit down on the frame to line up with the bed line. We know this bed line's good. This is built to factory specs. The shimming that we'll do, we're talking, you know, 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch. Way less than we need to take out of here. So that's opportunity number one. So if you find an F600 cab and you think, man, solid doors, solid floors, great shape, just some things to consider. You know, honestly, you'd have to sit down with a pen and paper and look at the hours it would take to put like floor pans and do rust repair on a cab that needs repair in comparison to some of the fab work that's got to be done for an F600 cab to fit on an F100 chassis. So this is merely not a complaint. This is merely just making you aware, because I know as these trucks become more popular, it's what we do. We're resourceful. We're going to start looking at other options to have a higher quality build. So front mounts, F600, it's going to go through the floor versus the traditional cab mount that extends in front of the cab, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Steering column goes through the floor. Brake master cylinder is also about 3 inches further in than it should be. It needs to come over. It really should be almost center here. And I'm just ballparking. We're obviously going to have to measure all that and get it out, but lots of holes and stuff here that's got to be filled, moved to get the steering column through the firewall, to get the brake master cylinder moved over. Bolt-in trans tunnel. So that's kind of a good thing, because, you know, we've already done some rough cut to clear the TKX. Probably gonna have to do some more cutting here for drive shaft tunnel. That's all really manageable. Not a big problem there. The coolest thing about a dent side F600 cab is this. Dent side, guys. Bump side dash. So we're gonna be able to put bump side gauges in here, bump side vintage air kit, and I'll show you why that's possible. Not just because of the dash, but because the passenger side firewall bumps out, and we'll bolt a bump side condenser, heater core lines. So that's going to be fine. It's really just this side of the firewall that we got to work on. Not a big deal. Probably the biggest chore is the cab mount that should be here can't go on until this bracing where the F600 mount went. Lots of spot rivets, spot welds, probably 30 or so spot welds to get one side off. This is also lapped with bracing that was there to strengthen the floor where the trans tunnel bolted. So you can see on this side, completely untouched. All these spot welds have to be drilled out all the way around into the rocker panel. Remove this. But LMC makes, several people do, we got these from LMC, 2 different options of cab mount. And I'll tell you, this is the one you want. There's this bigger option here. This is part number there. You can see it. It shows Bronco. This is the part number you want. And these are side specific. So grab those. But this is much sturdier, much thicker steel. You have a longer flange, return lip on here than you do these. You can hear it versus. This is the part you want. Don't order these. So you can see, to get this on, got some work to do to make that happen. Got some work to do on the firewall to make this all work. But it's a really clean cab. Great floors, great doors. It's got the big F600 door handles on it. And the color of the cab has truly inspired the finished color of the truck. So that does this installment for updates on this build. Next video, you'll see some progress on how this is going. Also, a couple things that need to happen to Frank and Lieutenant Tan before Grand Nationals coming up. We're like 7 weeks away. Really fired up about that. Carpenter's put on an awesome show. Looking forward to getting to that show. Got some takeover news coming. This is going to be the biggest takeover year yet. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. But if you like what you're seeing, subscribe, hit like, and engage with me. Ask questions. It just motivates me to put more stuff up. I don't mind doing this. It's really a lot of fun. But appreciate you following along. We'll catch you in the next one.